After talking with some players who play this game over the last couple of weeks, one thing is very certain. Not too many people understand the actual mechanics of the swing in EA Sports PGA Tour. Because of that, today I'm going to go over the mechanics of the swing in EA PGA Tour and also give you some tips and tricks that might actually help you out on the virtual golf course. But before we jump into the video, I do want to take some time to thank today's video sponsor, and that is EA. As someone who prides myself on making these tutorials for you all, when EA reached out to me to make a tutorial, it was a no-brainer for me. So with that, I just want to say thanks to EA for sponsoring today's content for you all.
And now for something completely different.
When it comes to the mechanics, a lot of people are coming from a place of 2K, or some other golf games, I'm sure, that use swing mechanics of some sort. This has led to some confusion because the swing mechanics between the two games are really nothing alike. Now in 2K, the mechanics of the swing are purely based on your speed pulling the stick down and pushing it forward. That forward motion is the speed that dictates your tempo. Now, because of this, people are coming over to EA and they're doing the same exact swing that they did on 2K, and it's leading to some issues for a lot of people. Now, for some people, they will pull the stick back and push it forward and hold it at the top. That maximizes their precision along the swing plane, and it works for them. However, in EA, this method is leading to a lot of people always getting slows, and there is a reason for that. So what is the mechanic for EA? How do you judge tempo within the mechanic? So the mechanic for EA doesn't take the speed in which you go from your power, pulling the stick down, transition to the top. It's actually a little bit more than that. The tempo is dictated by the time it takes for you to transition from your power to the top, and then the release of the stick back to center. The whole process is timed. The process of pulling the stick back, and then the tempo starts when you push the stick forward and then release the stick. So what happens with some of these people who are pulling the stick back for power, pushing it and holding it at the top, you're always getting a slow because you're not releasing the stick. So the game is taking it as, oh, it's slow, like you haven't completed the motion that we are looking for, which in turn leads to you getting slow percentage for your tempo. Now, with this information, there are two methods of swinging that I have found work best for me. Hopefully today, when I go over these two methods, they'll work for you. But before we get into those methods, let's talk about swing style. So within your golfer, there is your animation and also your swing style. Now, some people think that the swing style produces a faster or slower swing animation, and if it does, it's very minimal or I can't tell the difference. What it does do, though, is changes the tempo timing up for you to be able to hit the perfect tempo. The slowest tempo set in the swing style makes it so the total time it takes for you to go down and then transition to power and then release the stick is set to a slower timing than what it would be at the fastest, where you have to do it really fast in order to get the perfect tempo. So on something that is a little bit of a slower tempo setting, you may have something where it's a little bit more controlled back to center. But for something that is set to fastest, you're going to be doing a lot of a faster motion, which is more of a flick that you're going to be doing, where you want to get the stick to the top as quickly as you can and then release it as quickly as you can, which leads to it looking like more of a flick. So we have slow and controlled, and then we also have the flick, which is the basis of both the methods that I'm going to be showing you today. So the first method is the flick method. Now, in order to do this, you will need to come into your swing style and set it to the fastest or faster. Personally, I have enjoyed the fastest. Now from there, we are out on the beautiful Pebble Beach course today, and I'm going to show you this at work. So we have set it to the fastest swing tempo, and essentially all you do is just a normal little flick method. Now, something that I do want to also touch on while we're in here, your swing plane actually will produce a vibration in your controller if it is off center or off the mark that you're looking for. So if you pull the stick back and you feel it vibrate, that means that you have pulled the stick back off too far to the left or right, like that. As you can see, you'll get like a swing plane that is not where it should be. So if you pull it back and you do not feel a vibration, that means that you have pulled the stick back straight along your swing plane. And you can also use that for these shots as well if you do choose to do this. You can pull it back, vibration, no vibration there, so I'd probably complete that swing. But you can pull this back and reset it as much as you want until you don't feel the vibration. You know that you are pulling it back to the desired location that you're going for. So just something to kind of get used to is to always play for that not vibration. That way you know that you're pulling it back straight. But the flick method is pretty straightforward. I mean, you pull it back and set on the fastest tempo. You're trying to complete your swing to the top and releasing it pretty quickly. So all you want to do is essentially just complete a little bit of a flick forward to get that perfect tempo. But then we will address the ball and hit it out there. Now, another thing, too, that I want to kind of go over is the power. So the power and how it is calculated is based off of both numbers, the amount of power underswing and overswing, and also your tempo. Those two numbers are added together to give you your total power. So if you hit a perfect, you will hit it at exactly the power that you have set. If you do a 1% overswing and a 1% slow, it'll actually combine the two to make it 0. If you do a 1% overswing and a 1% fast, it'll add it and you will have 2% additional power on the swing that you've chosen. So like if you're doing the one, like some of the challenges where it's like hit over 100% power, you have to add both numbers together in order to get that 100% power. So technically, if you're looking to get like a good amount of power, like you could get a 2% overswing and a 2% fast added together. Both of those create a 4% overswing on the power. So if we take this approach shot in right here, and I'm going to try to do it as fast as I can. I'm going to overswing it and I'm going to hit it hard with the fast. This right here adds 2.9% power onto my shot, not the 100% that I was looking for. Now, the second method is more of a controlled method. For this one, I've been setting it to slowest or slower on your swing style. And to show this method off, we are here today at St. Andrews, and I'm just going to show you all what I mean by slow and controlled. So if we address the ball here, let's go to a practice swing. So instead of the flick that we were doing, because if you do that now, you're going to be fast. Almost always. You're going to be fast. What you need to do is a more hold the stick the entire time. This is something that people do now in like 2K, where you're very controlled with your stick. So you're going to pull it back, and you're going to push it forward yourself, and then bring it back to center yourself, like so. But it's a little bit more controlled. You are pushing it up with your thumb, and then essentially pushing it back down with your finger. Well, for the pinch method, if you do just a solid thumb, you'll just have to, do it yourself, where you're bringing it back down to center with your thumb. For me, though, I do a pinch, so I push it up with my thumb, and then essentially push it back down with my finger. But you just stay in more control of the stick. Whereas, with the flick, you're just kind of like throwing it up and letting the controller do the work and bringing it back to center. So, let's take a couple of shots. Let's see how we do. 0.8 plus 0.4. Really not that bad. I've actually come to enjoy this method of swing over the flick because the flick is a little bit, at least for me, it is a little bit more volatile. Whereas this, I feel like I have a little bit more control over the tempo that I'm actually swinging at. So I've been kind of moving away from the flick and moving more towards this the more that I have tested it. Now, I'm sure there are some more methods other than these two, but these are the two that have worked the best for me in the testing that I have done. And hopefully one of these works best for you out on the golf course. Now, of course, if you have found another method that maybe you're using and could potentially help out your fellow golfer, then sound off down in the comments. I'd greatly appreciate to hear what method you have. I'd love to test it, and maybe it'll work for somebody else as well. But wait, there's more. So over the course of testing the tempo and how it works and all of the different swing styles out, I actually kind of found something in the putting that works pretty good. For some reason, the putting is on a completely different tempo, and I believe it's tied to animation somehow, but it doesn't take into account the speed that you release the stick at the top, only the speed that it goes to the top. And that speed is actually pretty lenient, I would say, for how it is measured for your perfect tempo. So if it has been a little bit of a struggle for you, like it has for me, like very fasting your putts, 1% of a putt tempo fast, try this out because I think it will work for you very nicely. And all it is doing is pulling the stick back, getting your power, pushing it forward, and then just holding it at the top. Don't release it, just hold it there. This doesn't matter what your swing tempo is set at, slowest, slower, normal, fastest, whatever it may be. And from what I have found, it's anywhere ranging from a 0.3% slow to a 0.3% fast most of the times, at least for my personal swing. And a lot of the times, I just get perfect tempo. So give it a try out on the putting surface, and hopefully that helps. There is one more thing, too, I would like to touch base on, and that is the draw and fade mechanic in EA Sports PGA Tour. Now, the reason I want to touch on this is because it's kind of a correction to my first impressions video that I did back at the launch of the game. Now, when I did that first impressions video, it was under my impression.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
That I had to follow the swing line from the fade or draw. I had to follow it from the corner all the way up to the top. And I said that that mechanic was kind of bad because the stick was always fighting you at every turn. And that's still true, but that's not how the mechanic works at all. So if you choose to do the draw and fade mechanic, if you turn it on, the shot shaping mechanic, which makes you pull it off to the corner or like down a little bit diagonally, this is all you have to do for that mechanic. You have to start it in the right position, which means you have to pull it off diagonally to the right position. And then you just have to finish at the top. It takes 2 points. Those 2 points are the start position diagonally and the top position. If you hit both of those, then you can get a perfect swing. You do not need to follow the line whatsoever. The tempo stays the same throughout, and that's the mechanic. Like I said, a little bit of a correction to what I said in the first impressions video, because that's just not how the mechanic works. But hopefully this helps you, and if you did turn it off because of the way you thought the mechanic worked because of me, and want to turn it back on now with this new information, now you're able to. And that is the basic mechanics of EA PGA Tour. I hope this video helps you understand the mechanics a little bit more, because I have seen a lot of confusion surrounding how the mechanics work, and a lot of people kind of struggling with it because they're coming from a place where the mechanics from other games just don't really work on this game. Overall, I would say that the mechanic is pretty complicated in its execution, and there still may be some things that, we can discover within it. But overall, the hope is that this video can help describe the mechanics to you, and if these methods maybe don't work for you, it at least gives you a path in trying to find something that does. As always, if you have any other tips or tricks for maybe a swing method that you use, let your fellow virtual golfers know down in the comments section. Help them out today. I'd greatly appreciate it. And also, I'd like to test them out too. So if you have any others, let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video or it helped you whatsoever, please think about leaving a like on the video. That like helps push this video out into the algorithm, which in turn helps promote my channel, and I would greatly appreciate you if you did. Sub to the channel for more tips, tricks, tutorials, gameplay, pretty much anything sports related. You will find it here on the channel. So if that's something that interests you, think about subscribing and turning on notifications. Past that, I hope you have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and I will catch you on the next one.